cleaner, healthier, safer. The public's awareness of and appreciation for cleaning arguably has never been higher. Set yourself apart by requiring ISSA's Cleaning Industry Management Standard, or CIMS certification from your cleaning service provider. Specifying a CIMS certified and professionally managed contractor assures you that your cleaning service provider leverages proven systems to operate safely, effectively, and efficiently, saving you time and money along the way. To learn more about how CIMS certification can benefit you, visit cims.issa.com.
Welcome to Straight Talk. Pleased to have everyone watching this program today. It's an excellent opportunity to be motivated. Today, I'm with Kimberly Thomas. She's recently retired as the Senior Director of Services, Facilities Management at the University of Georgia. Kimberly, or Kim, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate the invitation and look forward to talking with you.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to put it out there right now. I live in Columbus, Ohio. I'm a Buckeye fan. Kim, who's your team?
As you can see by the historic arches on my collar, it's the University of Georgia. National champs, right?
Yeah, and whether someone's watching this before the game or after, we can't predict anything. And I won't lose any sleep when the Georgia Bulldogs lose. I won't.
Keep dreaming.
Thank you. We've set this up nicely. So Kim, I understand that you spent your career serving the industry, and now you're living on a beach in Cancun. Not true.
Almost.
Right.
I've taken a couple of trips, but yes.
Good for you.
I have retired from the University of Georgia as the Senior Director for Services in our Facilities Management Division. And it's a great time to kind of reflect, but also to share in some of the, hopefully some tidbits that can help our professionals in the industry.
Fantastic. And that's what we want to do today with this interview, to guide people and to help them to see what they can do and be inspired as well. So let's start with this official question, Kim. Just tell us about your career path, walk us through it. I know it's going to be inspirational for emerging young professionals looking at this industry.
Okay, thank you. I kind of took a non-traditional route to work in a non-traditional industry, so to speak. I actually started my career working in our University of Georgia police department. So I started off in public safety. Number one, it was a great way to help pay for school. Worked my way through undergraduate and graduate studies at the University of Georgia. And having that background of working in public safety, I think really helped me to fine-tune communication skills, emergency management, knowing how to deal with people in difficult situations, knowing that the expertise, working with different technologies, knowing that I had to have the confidence to work with all types of people wherever they are, meet people where they are. And it was a good segue once I then went into student affairs, working with various student organizations and learning more about budgeting, learning more about the campus facilities in a different way that you don't necessarily see in public safety. And I think all of those things really help culminate in having a successful career in facilities management, because then I can see things from a couple of different viewpoints, as well as knowing that in our job, if it's the middle of the night and you have a flood, or you're dealing with a professor or a principal, you have to know your business, know how to get resources, know how to handle various situations, and be able to bring staff together to resolve issues very quickly, but in the best way for all parties involved. So working through public safety, then in student affairs, getting into facilities was, I think, very important for me. I worked through a couple of different mentoring programs. And with those programs, they really helped me to open up my perspective on knowing how to be a professional who can, write strategic plans, know how to pick apart different parts of customer issues so that we can address what is the true need, learning how to communicate with the staff, knowing what helps to make good training programs, and how do we motivate our staff so that they can then step into our shoes. My motto has always been, I'm working to find my replacement. And I think that's been very key to motivate myself as well as to make sure that our staff always stayed engaged. And how can I continue to prepare myself for the next step? How can I continue to make sure that my customers have full confidence in me? So, looking at it from a holistic standpoint, in our area in facility management, as I mentioned before, you got to meet people where they are, but you have to be prepared yourself to know how to handle the various different situations. For myself, I had an undergraduate degree in political science. Really thought I was going to be working in that area, but life happens, I ended up getting my master's degree in public administration, and I think that was a great uh, way to frame my mind in a technical and a strategic way to be able to manage large organizations. At the University of Georgia, as a senior director of services, I was responsible for almost 700, 800 people. Right, huge numbers of people. Didn't always start out that way. When I left the police department and became the assistant director for services at facilities management, or FMD is what we called it, I had 300 staff people, custodial staff, as well as support services staff. So understanding how to communicate across lines, not just letting a written directive be the final answer. Getting out, meeting people, talking to people is absolutely crucial. Being able to prepare yourself to speak in front of people. That's one of the things, with all of my mid-level managers and directors, you have to be able to communicate in an effective manner. So I've definitely put a big star for that as far as our aspiring professionals. And I think also being able to have great written plans so that people understand, even after what you have said has went away, what you have written and what the plan is crucial. You can share that plan with your customers, you can share that plan with your staff, and having a written guide is absolutely important in our area, because in facilities, we might have renovations in certain spaces. We might have new buildings come online in the middle of the night if someone is working. We have to be able to fall back on concrete plans and instructions. And so having a great ability to communicate, whether in written form and in verbal form, is absolutely crucial in our industry. And I think another key thing that I want to highlight is my being involved in professional organizations, because it is absolutely crucial to understand what's happening out in the marketplace, what's happening amongst your peers. That's why it's always been very important for me to belong to associations like ISSA and other types of professional organizations who can look at what are the legislative impacts that can impact what we do, what we buy, how we build, how we renovate, how we train, and what are the ways in which we can prepare our administration, because someone has to fund some of these things. There's a lot of unfunded mandates that come down from either state or federal entities that impact how we work and what we do. The environmental impact that our work sometimes causes, and how we really have to be conscious of health and safety of our stakeholders who work and study in the buildings that we're responsible for. So kind of in a nutshell, I hope that kind of gives a good overview of kind
It
of
does.
how I got to where I am.
I was going to ask you, and I think you've answered the question, for young emerging professionals, would you recommend this as a career path? I guess the answer is yes.
It is. What a huge exclamation point. One of the things that we have to be conscious of, we have a lot of people in our industry that are at the point of retirement, like I am, right? We need to have great people who can follow in behind us because our schools, our educational facilities, our work environments, non-educational facilities. We got to have people who understand what it means to work in safe environments. We have so much going on right now. We have to have people who have a great technology background and be able to understand all of the things that is important to the stakeholders and the end users in our facilities.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to say this one thing was my favorite part of all this, just one thing, could you do that? What would that be?
I think the one thing for me is seeing success on my staff. Like when we achieved our CIMS certification, we received it multiple times. But I go back to that very first year and just seeing how enthusiastic and how proud our staff members were to be able to hold up their CIMS certificate. We had it framed in a huge frame and presented it to our custodial and our support services staff to say, hey, through your work and achievement, this is representative of your contribution to the University of Georgia. And they were so proud to be recognized in that way.
You brought up ISSA and CIMS. Let's talk more about that. How did that help with the work, the organizing, everything as a facility director for you?
I think on the onset, the very first time, looking at what the standards that we needed to achieve would be and seeing the notebook, it's like, oh my goodness.
How thick was it? That thick?
It was pretty thick. Yeah, it was pretty thick.
It's probably
But
all
once
digital now too. So
it is, that shows the age, right? Um, but when I drilled down into it, it taught me a lot about what was important for a facility manager. I always knew training was important for my staff. I always knew our customer support was important. I always knew that having emergency plans were important and all of the things that go into the criteria. But when you put it all together, it was a true aha moment to say, okay, this is the type of background that I need, our staff needs to bring the confidence of what we do every day to our customers.
mm-hmm.
So when we were able to achieve all of the standards and to achieve our CIMS green building designation at the high standard, I can then go into meetings with vice presidents and deans at my school to say, look, this is how we work in our facilities organization. These are the criteria. This is how we know what we do measures up to every other industry standard. And it is based on criteria. It's based on metrics. It's based on science. It's based on our training. It's based on making sure we communicate what we do to you and we hit all of the federal and state requirements that we need to.
You sound like you believe it.
I believe it.
All right.
Well,
Because
and
it gave
worked.
you confidence, didn't it? Confidence.
It gave us confidence, and it also gave us the ability to go in and then ask for more budget to improve our cleaning equipment, or improve how we did indoor air quality testing, or to improve what we wanted to do as far as training and testing for our staff to make sure that we had a program and not just being responsive as emergencies happen. We wanted to be on the front end instead of always being responding to an emergency.
Yeah. Let's pivot a little bit and talk about, you mentioned ISSA and CIMS and the certification, but other organizations or people that have influenced you the most over the years. Would you like to mention any of them?
Yeah, and I've mentioned this story a few years back. I think one of the main inspirations for me to hop into this industry was my grandmother. I remember as a small child, my grandmother, she was what was referred to in those days as a domestic cleaner. And she had her customer, she had her business, and she would go and clean people's houses. And just from that standpoint of seeing it was more of a friendship that equated, this is because I care, this is what I do. I treat it, as an important factor of what I do, and seeing that type of work, and then how we work today in facilities is the same way. We care about our environment. We care about what we do for our customers and how we can affect indoor air quality, sustainable practices, making sure that we're good stewards of our fiscal, our budget, and how we spend the money, how we take care of our staff, how what we do can impact the health of our staff as well. I see a lot of parallels. That's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be, I think, the number one inspiration outside of our staff, and knowing that being an advocate for them means they can go home every night feeling safe about what they have done in the 8 hours that they've spent in our at our campus.
Absolutely. Thinking about companies that you worked with or suppliers, any there you want to mention?
Of course, I've been a very high proponent of working local, and I think the number one local distributor partnership that I've worked with over the years has been Athens Janitor Supply. They've been hand in hand, and I've always treated our business partners as, this is a journey that I need you to be on with me, not dictate to me. And I think that's been in good stead, whether that's been with some of the other folks that we've worked with, whether Georgia Pacific, Thornton Brothers, is some of the other local companies that we have worked with. And it's been a true training ground for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
They went through CIMS, they participated in our program, they went to trainings through ISSA as well, because that's one of the things I required of my business partners. It's a journey for all of us. If you're going to be representing me, bringing me product ideas, training my staff, I want you on board with how we want to train our staff in the right way.
Yeah,
based on metrics and principles.
Yeah, because some might think when you need products, whether it's toilet paper or equipment or whatever it is to take care of a facility, you need someone to sell it to you at a price you can afford. But what you just described is not a transaction.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Because the good thing about working for a state entity is that none of this is mandated. And I've said this in so many other platforms. What we have done is not mandated from the state. So we have the flexibility to look at what makes it successful to us. What makes it successful to the University of Georgia has been that we know we're going to work hard. We know that we're going to get a really good price. Those are non-negotiable. But what are the other intangible things that we need from our business partners? Mm-hmm. And that's the part of the business journey that we want.
So thank you for all that. That's good information and inspirational. You're retired now. I have to ask, what are you gonna miss the most? You're gonna say staff, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that because that's hugely important. I
Yeah.
spent most of my time not sitting in the office, but out and about because I think that was really important, and I think it showed our not only our staff but our customers a level of um, these are folks who really care, doing building inspections, walking through, talking, checking the area, and also making sure that our staff feel like uh, they um, have they have someone who can be an advocate because I truly can see what they do, understand what they do because I'm right there with them.
Good. We talked about staff quite a bit, so I think that's great information, and anyone that works for an organization wants to feel good about where they're at. We'll wrap this up with two more questions. If another organization looked at the University of Georgia as an example, what would they see that they liked? And don't say the Bulldogs, don't say the football team.
I
What
think
would you say?
that I think if another organization looked at the University of Georgia, I think that they would like um, what they see around our campus from the standpoint of you see beautiful grounds, and we got the awards to show that. They would see the buildings and the facilities and how they look appearance wise, cleanliness, and that's great too. But I think what they really would like is the support that hard work um, has given us for our administration to allow us to do the things that we do. So making sure that people would see that how much our administration, our staff, our students support our facilities organization, because that's not always the case.
You're
With
right.
really tight budget scenarios, everybody can't say that right now. It's been really hard on a lot of institutions to try to, number one, get through all of COVID. And now that we are, we have fine-tuned a way to deal with that, dealing with our industry um, uh, interruptions, with providing stock for what we need. Um, all of those things. But I think people would really be interested in how much our administration supports us. And it's not just in financial dollars, but that's hugely important, but also with the ability to say, hey, if this is what facilities wants to do, we trust them. Let's try it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So you're retired. I don't know, Kim. I believe you're going to just do nothing now. What's next for you?
What's next for me is I have still um, made a commitment to be in contact with some of the professional organizations that I have been working with. I plan on doing some writing. Um, I plan on doing some more traveling, but I never will be very, very far away from this industry. I still have um, a social presence on a couple of the, media, um, LinkedIn, for
Mhm.
example.
I found you there.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, because I think it's hugely important. Um, I am a mentor with a couple of the professional industries because I do think that it is important to continue to give back to this industry and to ins- inspire some of our up and coming professionals to hang in this. This can be a really tough industry,
Okay.
but it's a rewarding one as well.
Yeah. What you're describing, it sounds like you need to work with ISSA.
I'm done. I would not be opposed.
You are on tape right now. So does that sound like a next step maybe in your path?
It could be. It
Okay.
could be. Could very well be.
Because a lot of what we talked about today are exactly what we promote. And that's why we're doing this recording, because we want to help the industry, emerging young professionals to find their way to be successful. And we have many programs, including the Hygia Network, to do that.
Yes.
So, all right.
Yes.
Well, Kim, thank you for your time today. A great conversation, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate talking with you, even though you're a little misguided with your football fiction. Uh, but you know, I'm looking forward to that game.
I'm sure we'll do another recording in the future, and we'll talk about what happened at the game.
Sounds
Thank you,
great.
Kim.
Thank you.